And now, we talk about food. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany. Here we talk about all the food happenings around Acadiana. If you like food, tune in. You might learn something new. Welcome back, guys. We are going to recap. This is a recap show of our taco tour of the Shreveport Bossier area. And we're going to be talking with Bob, who was a cinematographer for the documentary. Cinematographer. Is that how you say it?
No. Cinematographer.
Yeah. Okay. Or I should just say videographer.
That works.
That would be more accurate.
And taco eater.
Yeah. So this was my first documentary. This was your second.
Yeah.
How did you feel going into this documentary?
I mean, it was very different. My documentary was a lot more to do with history. It's a boucherie, the edible spectacle. You can find it on YouTube. So it was a lot of finding facts. This was a lot more field work.
It was kind of insane, and we still have so much work to do. Like we haven't even really begun the process. But I think one of the coolest things that happened for the documentary is that we went in kind of asking why Shreveport. Why does Shreveport have so many Tex-Mex, Mexican, taqueria style restaurants? And during the course of the documentary, we learned that Shreveport Bossier has 63 Mexican restaurants, which is insane.
It's awesome.
And also another really cool fact, and I think this is kind of where I want the documentary direction to go, is the correlation to Superior Grill, which is very well known in Shreveport. They have one also in New Orleans and then in Baton Rouge. You can think about it like Lafayette's La Fonda. Very popular, very known for drinking kind of thing, that a lot of the taqueria owners came out of that kitchen. And it's kind of like a nice incubator. Little and it's also kind of like, well, you can hate this restaurant or you can say that you hate this restaurant, but it does serve a purpose. And that was kind of something that was cool that we discovered during the course of the recording. And so I came up with the name of the documentary. It's going to be called The Superior Taco. Because another thing that we're asking everyone, and we're going to be shooting more things, is what your perfect taco is. So what is your perfect taco?
Oh, man. Definitely, probably pretty veggie heavy, quite frankly.
So like a veggie taco?
No, like meat, but not like a lot of tacos are just like so much meat.
Well, that's your street taco style. So what you're saying is you like more of a Tex-Mex that has like the lettuce, and the tomatoes,
tostada that we had, with the crickets.
Yes.
That might be my perfect taco.
Yeah, and that was very veggie forward.
Exactly.
And also had a lot of cheese on that one, too.
Like a lot of veggies, herbs, and cheese.
Yeah. So my perfect taco is a breakfast taco. And the reason why I love breakfast tacos so much is because my dad used to make them for us growing up. And my dad loves to cook, and he also likes to throw around what I call construction Spanish. It's very broken Spanish that he's learned on construction sites. And he knows just enough Spanish to be able to get by, to be respected. And, you know, for a time, we also lived in Laredo before moving to Lafayette. So, like, when I was itty-bitty, I feel like I learned how to say my address and phone number in Spanish before I did English. I don't really have a lot of memories from Laredo. I do remember going to Mexico a couple of times, but I also think that that's where my love of Mexican food comes from as well. Is from like my dad cooking it for us growing up, and then just being really into it. And man, his potato egg tacos are just fabulous. Like, anytime, even now, like, if he makes breakfast tacos, like, I am so excited for it. And so, to me, that's my perfect taco. Yeah, and unfortunately, we don't really have that many breakfast taco places in town.
Yeah, my family is the exact opposite. We never had Mexican food until they opened the Taco Bell by the Acadiana Mall. And I still remember, like, getting this amazingly exotic dish called a taco.
That's so funny that you mentioned Taco Bell, because I think it was recently voted the #1 Mexican restaurant in the United States. And you think about that and you're like, what? But to some people, that is their first experience with Mexican food.
I mean, it's also
Tex-Mex. I don't even know if you can call it Tex-Mex. It's like a fast food collaboration. Not gonna say I don't love me some Taco Bell, because we talk about it a lot on the show. But that's an interesting idea that for a lot of people around the country, you know, this may be the only Mexican food that they've been experiencing.
And even I'm curious about that survey, because I mean, just the sheer numbers of people that know Taco Bell, and I mean, there's not too many Mexican chains.
Right. Well, no, there are a lot. We just don't have a lot here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In fact, Shreveport has a lot. In that mix of 63 Mexican restaurants, a lot of them are chains. Okay. And that was the other thing that they were saying too. So if they didn't work at Superior Grill, they were at these chain Mexican restaurants. Yeah. So they do serve a purpose. Oh, so before you turn your nose up to them, I mean, who doesn't love a cheap margarita and chips and salsa every now and then? Although, after having the margaritas at El Cabo Verde and then also at the Baja Taco place, I don't think I can have a cheap margarita ever again. Like, because those were amazing margaritas.
Absolutely everything we ate was just astonishing.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the specific restaurants that we ate at on the tour, because we're not going to have time to go. I think we're both in agreement that Key Mexico was the star of the show.
Yeah, if you make it up there, go to Key Mexico. K-I Mexico.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's the place that we had the crickets.
Yeah. And
everything's just fresh. And I hate to say that it's elevated. Like, it's elevated. I don't know how to explain it other than say it's hipster. It's a hipster taco place.
Definitely the vibe.
But it's so amazing. Like, you have to go and check them out. Like, my favorite taco there was called the Gringo Taco. Yeah. And it was literally like a cheese stick in a taco. So they take awesome. Like shredded pork, they wrap cheese around it, and I think that part of the reason why that I love Key Mexico so much is that they're from Oaxaca. They go to Oaxaca a lot, and they bring back stuff from Oaxaca. And one of the things that they bring is cheese, because cheese is made in that area of Mexico. And I think that that's why their stuff is so good, because the cheese is so amazing. It is. If you think about your typical Mexican restaurant, the cheese that you're getting, it's like shredded, cheddar cheese, Monterey Jack, or the queso fresco, the fresh cheese that really doesn't have any flavor. That's but this cheese is so flavorful. And I'm really into cheese.
You really are.
Yeah. So I think that's what sets them about. They use microgreens instead of cilantro.
Which is so flavorful.
And they just fresh veggies. They try to use local products as much as possible. Yeah. They got their start at the farmers market there, selling salsa. So another big feature of them is their salsas and their guacamole. Yeah. And then also the flan.
Yeah.
This is the best flan that you will ever eat.
Yep. It was amazing.
It reminds me so much of cheesecake.
Yep. Ditto.
So what were some other highlights of the trip for you with the various taquerias that we went to?
I forget the name of it, but the one where we had the lard. I'm sorry, not lard.
Tripe. The tripe.
That was so
yes.
good.
That was Taqueria. Oh my God. I'm blanking on the name too. It's on It's by Barksdale Air Force Base.
Yep.
And Chris J took us there because he said that it was a nice, what we call the grape compromise between traditional Mexican tacos and then Tex-Mex. So they had like both on the menu. So it was the kind of place where you could get chips and salsa, but you could also get amazing street tacos. And the paloma that I had from there was one of the best palomas that I had, because if you get a paloma around here, it's artisanal and it's very fancy. And this was what a paloma was supposed to be, with the tequila and the grapefruit soda, and salt around the rim, maybe a little salt in it, just real simple and delicious. But we had tripe tacos.
They were really good,
and they were surprisingly good.
Like that first bite, I'm like, oh yeah, this is still tripe, and then like a moment later, I'm like, oh my God, this is what it's supposed to be like.
Yeah, and then El Cabo Verde was another one. Like, best margaritas I have ever had.
Yeah.
Like, freshest margaritas that I have ever had.
Yeah.
And then the guacamole.
Yep.
And then we got a treat because he took us outside and, like, showed us where he hand grinds the tortillas.
Yeah.
They import this blue corn that they use for their tortillas.
Yep.
And he hand ground it for us. He made the tortillas. And then he brought it to the table. And we had a taco that was literally just like the blue corn tortilla, guacamole, and cheese. And he said, you would put like pumpkin seeds on it too, which sounds really delicious to me right now. I really want it.
Well, it is pumpkin season.
Right. So, I mean, just, God, that guacamole was amazing. Guacamole and margaritas there were the two things that stand out to me.
Yeah, there were some amazingly good drinks up there too.
Yeah, they have really cool stuff going on in the Shreveport Bossier area, and that's something that I want to convey to people who kind of stick their nose up at North Louisiana and say, when you think of the cuisine of Louisiana, it's in Cajun country or it's in New Orleans and it's Creole. Well, Shreveport Bossier has great Southern food, but they also they're so diverse there. And I would argue and say that they're probably one of the most diverse cities in Louisiana.
Really?
And I attribute that to Barksdale Air Force Base being there. And then also things that I didn't think about that we learned during the course of the trip. It's a junction city.
Yeah.
And then it's also a port city. Yeah. So these are, things why. But, I mean, they have, like, a wide range of restaurants. I mean, there's a German restaurant. There's a Hawaiian restaurant. Lucky Palace is amazing. Yeah. They have such cool stuff going on there. And people just need to get over there and check it out. And then I also want to say that people used to talk about, like, Lafayette does not have good Tex-Mex. We don't have good tacos. Okay. And I would be like, you're not looking in the right places. And, I would, go to my regular taquerias that I go to. And I was like, these are good tacos. No. Yeah. I've had good tacos now. Yeah. And, I mean, I'm not saying that they're bad, but the ones that we had in Shreveport Bossier were so much better.
The worst taco I had in Shreveport was better than the best taco here. Quite frankly, I was a total non-believer of Shreveport, and I thought it would just be okay. But yeah, it's pretty darn cool city, man. Man,
the breakfast tacos that I had at La Michoacana, which I probably just butchered the name of that, were amazing. How packed was that place?
Yeah, they were packed.
They were like constantly. There was people constantly coming in and going from there. That was another really great. God, they're so good. There's so many good.
Yeah.
We only went to 8 of them.
And the aqua frescas. Oh my God.
Yeah. That was at El Bazaar. That was at El Bazaar. That was the first place that we went. Yeah. And then they also had
they were all so good.
The alitas with the flaming hot Cheetos. So it's like corn off the cob and mayo and cheese and then Flamin' Hot Cheetos on top. And then he was like, "You've never eaten this before, have you?" And I was like, "No." And he said, "You mix it all together." And I was like, "Oh my God, I feel like an idiot." But yeah, the cantaloupe agua fresca that they had there.
That was
and then
good.
they also had the vegan pastor taco.
Dude, that was crazy good.
Yeah, and he has won awards for it.
I totally believe it.
All right, we are going to take a break, and coming up is more interviews from different people from the Shreveport Bossier area. So come back to us. It is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Newstalk 96.5 KPEL.
The best tasting radio show in all of South Louisiana. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Newstalk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Newstalk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Today is the last day of the Shreveport Bossier Taco Tour. We're finishing up at brunch. We are here at Wine Country Bistro. Get the biscuits. If you're up in this area for brunch, get the biscuits. That's all I got to say about that. And joining us now is Chris J., who is with Shreveport Bossier Tourism, who has literally rolled out the taco carpet for us here on this trip, and he made this documentary possible. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's the Tourist Bureau's pleasure. I mean, we do have a really good taco scene here, so it was fun exploring it with you.
Okay, so let's talk about tacos a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we have eaten so many tacos on this trip. What have been some of your favorites? Any surprises? Anything new for you?
So I think my favorite right now, and this is hard for me to say because they're all so different.
Right.
But my favorite is just an old-fashioned barbacoa taco. I mean, because it's got this kind of homemade, rich gravy. The meat's super tender because it's beef cheek. And we had a killer barbacoa taco at La Reina del Sur, which is a taqueria in Bossier City. I also enjoyed some good barbacoa at Taqueria San Miguel, another taqueria in Bossier City. But right now, I'm all about the barbacoa.
Right. That used to be one of my favorite ones. And then this trip, I tried tripe for the first time.
Of you, yeah.
Right. And it was delicious. And I think that's going to be my new go-to taco now.
And next time I'm at Taqueria San Miguel, where we were, I think I'm going to get the tripe because you guys loved it.
Right. So it's fried, and anything fried is good. But it reminded me of crispy pork skin. So it was it had that consistency to me for it. So it was delicious. All right, so besides the taco restaurants that we went to on the trip, what are some other new restaurants that are happening here in the Shreveport Bossier area?
We have a tremendous Hawaiian food truck called Ono's Traditional Hawaiian Cuisine. I think they are making some of the best food in the city. They've been a food truck for about 3 years now, and they are launching their brick and mortar this fall. Right now, they're building it. And the thing that's really cool is it's right across the street from Key Mexico, which is arguably one of the most buzzed about restaurants in town. So there's going to be this kind of really wonderful international food district thing happening.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I think one of the things that you guys do the best is showcasing the cultural diverse restaurants that you guys have in the area. So you do have a lot of taquerias, Mexican restaurants. You have a Vietnamese scene. You have Hawaiian food. You have German food, and you have other different cultures out there. And you guys do such a good job of promoting that as part of your culture, of the overall Shreveport Bossier culture. And I think that's what sets you guys apart. You're not Cajun country, you're not New Orleans Creole food. This is the Shreveport Bossier area, and this is everything that you can have there.
I think the Air Force Base has a huge part to play in that.
I would agree with you.
A lot of the international flavors that you can find in Shreveport and Bossier City, they have some connection to the Barksdale Air Force Base, which employs 22,000 people. I mean, it's essentially a city within the city. But yeah, I mean, we have a killer Peruvian restaurant, El Mono. We have that great German place that you mentioned, Evie Schnitzel House is a trip. It is really honestly all German food, all German wine, all German beer, all German music. If you like German culture, you're going to love that place.
Yeah, so I was telling you, they used to be a food truck, yes, and they go to German Fest in Minden, which I went to a couple of years ago, and I had schnitzel for the first time, and it was basically fries, like a brown gravy, and then a fried pork loin.
Cutlet, yeah.
It's like boneless and it's delicious. So like, if you're, any good Cajun out there, you love all of those things, so you're going to love German food.
Yes, and I mean, that cultural diversity that you're talking about, I think, is our greatest asset. So it's like, let's put it out there front and center. Instead of kind of trying to pretend to be Cajun country, let's do our thing.
Exactly. So you guys have been getting a lot of national attention lately, and I think Lucky Palace has a lot to do with that. They recently had a James Beard nomination for their wine program, and so it's kind of gotten a lot of national coverage. Like, a lot of people are coming and covering the food scene here now.
In just this year, Lucky Palace Chinese Restaurant, which is in Bossier City, has been featured in Garden and Gun. It's been on ESPN. It's been in Southern Living, and it's been in Imbibe, which is a national liquor magazine.
Oh, wow, okay.
So they are having quite a year, and I think a lot of that really traces back to the James Beard Award semifinalist nomination.
So I try to describe Lucky Palace to people, and I say that it's like an alternate universe.
Yes.
And you were kind of describing that, one way of promoting them, because they're not in the best they're not in the best hotel. Some people would see that as a negative, but you've kind of used it as a positive, and I agree. Like, that's part of the charm that is Lucky Palace.
It's in sort of a rundown hotel, but you step through these double doors, these like carved wooden doors, and you're in this really beautiful old school Chinese restaurant that really, I think, would be more at home, like on the Upper East Side of Manhattan or something like that. I mean, it represents a certain period of like glory days of Chinese American cuisine, but the wine list is honestly probably in the top 5 in the entire state of Louisiana, and that counts places like August. I mean, it's really a tremendous wine list.
It is incredible. Like, when we went there, I truly feel like what it was to be Anthony Bourdain for a night, because we drank so much incredible bottles of wine, and it was insane. It was magical. It was an alternate universe. Like, it's everything that how you would describe it to be.
And it's nice seeing Quan Lim, the proprietor there, finally being recognized, not in some sort of a way that looks down the nose at him, like, oh, isn't it funny that this place is in this bombed out hotel, but a place that people are finally really respecting Lucky Palace and the food and the proprietor.
So you can't talk about Shreveport Bossier and not talk about soul food, because that's part of what you guys have here as well. So what's going on?
Well, one thing, the thing that is most exciting to me is that probably one of the oldest restaurants in the city was a place called Freeman and Harris Cafe. Mm-hmm. Well, a new generation, that restaurant actually opened in 1911. It was black owned, and a lot of people feel like it was one of the oldest black owned restaurants in America when it closed in the 1990s. Well, now it's reopened, but it's got a new name. It's Orlando's Cafe, and they do stuffed shrimp there, which are these kind of traditional Shreveport style stuffed shrimp. They're different from stuffed shrimp you'll find anywhere else. They actually physically look like corn dogs.
Right.
And they come with like a deep orange tartar sauce that is super, super hot. So it's a Shreveport thing, and one of the restaurants that really made it a Shreveport thing has finally come back after decades of being closed.
So when we interviewed Jada for another segment of the show, we talked about hot water cornbread.
Yes.
And Bob, who is a huge cornbread fan, wanted to go and try it. And then you took us to what you feel makes the best hot water cornbread in town.
Yes, I really love this restaurant called the Cotton Bowl Grill. It's about 85 years old. It is a plate lunch diner, a really simple place, probably seats about 25 people, a few menu options each day, and the best hot water cornbread. The woman who makes the hot water cornbread, she like me, she believes that it's all about the crispy edges.
Right.
So she pinches the cornbread all over to make these little ridges before she fries it. So when you bite into it, you just get literally dozens and dozens of crispy edges in every bite.
It's true, and then you get it, it's just got like the little pinches all over it. You can definitely tell that everything is homemade.
You can see her fingerprints in the cornbread, and it's like, I like that. You know, that's not a bad thing at all to me. I love it.
And you were also talking about that as one of the last diners in the area.
True diners, you know, the kind of place where everybody, you know, knows your name, they know what's happening in your life. But it's also welcoming. It's not a good old boy thing. It's the staff there feels like family. They know what you're going to order when you sit down. And those kinds of places are disappearing across the country, you know, as IHOP and you know, Waffle House, you know, continue to just kind of put mom and pop breakfast diners out of business.
All right, we have to talk about Key Mexico. It is probably it is my favorite restaurant in the Shreveport Bossier area. Maybe one of my top 5 restaurants in the state. They keep amazing me every time I go. I describe them as being hipster. I don't mean it in a derogatory way, but it's the only way that I can describe that. It's so edgy, and they're taking traditional Mexican ingredients and then they're just kind of twisting it and creating something new with it. And I absolutely love what they're doing over there.
Yeah, I guess it would be like urban Mexican cuisine, modern urban Mexican cuisine, something like Enrique Olvera would do, or Alex Atala, like these you know, very sophisticated dishes that use very traditional ingredients. So killer mole sauces. You had the cricket tostada.
Yeah, we had a cricket tostada. Like, we got to try that.
That's about as traditional as it gets. But you know, it came out with the microgreens and the, you know,
like
all
the string cheese, pretty much.
Cheese, and it was just very beautiful.
Their cheese game is on point, and I know he goes to Mexico quite frequently, and he brings back a lot of ingredients with him, and I believe that he's bringing back the cheese, Oaxacan cheese, back with him, because that was one of my favorite. The gringa is what I tried this time, which is literally almost like it's a cheese stick in a taco. Like, that's the only way I can describe it.
Cheese.
Yes, and then it's stuffed with pork. Like, it's insane. And it's like the best quality cheese. And the last time it was a torta that was basically a cheese sandwich, and I loved it too.
If we ever, and I realize how absurd this sounds, but if we ever have a Michelin-starred restaurant in Shreveport, it may very well be Key Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, like, people need to come out and, like, oh man.
Or a James Beard nomination. You know, I could see that.
Yeah.
If you are ever in Shreveport and you're an adventurous diner, just get whatever they're making as a special, because they, you know, the specials they care so much about, they put so much attention to, and it's gonna blow your mind. It doesn't even matter what it is. Just order it.
Well, Chris, it is always a pleasure. Thank you so much for rolling out the taco carpet for us for this trip. And I can't wait for my next trip in the area.
I can't either. I'm going to be on a diet until then.
Right. All right. That's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. This is Tiffiany Deku on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. And this is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. Thanks for listening. And as always, happy eating, Acadiana.
From Boudin to the best burgers Acadiana has to offer, it's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku. We are continuing on with our taco documentary journey. We are at La Michi Ocana, which is a taqueria here in the Shreveport Bossier area. And I'm joined now by Jada Durdin, who is with Lovin' This Life. Yes. And she took me here like a year ago, I want to say, for the first time that I met you, and you took me to this restaurant, and it was delicious.
Absolutely. It's so delicious today.
All right, so tell us a little bit about your blog.
Yeah, so my blog is Lovin' This Life. I'm officially 4 years old.
Whoop, whoop.
And it actually came about from a picture of these very tacos that we've just been eating on my Instagram. I focus on food, travel, drinking, and all of the finer things in life.
The fun things in life.
Yes.
Like that's all you have to say about
fun.
that. Okay, so what is it about the Shreveport Bossier area food-wise that you love so much?
I love that I can literally go out and eat almost every day and have something different, and it's equally delicious and equally affordable every single night. Like, I don't have to have the same vein of things all of the time. And then I love that the restaurant owners and their service and staff are so welcoming, and it's really a community. It's a community in every sense of the word. It's a family, and everyone comes together and enjoys it all.
So what are some of your favorite restaurants here?
I always get put on the spot.
I know, right? I have the
Always.
same issue when I get asked about Lafayette restaurants. I'm always like,
I always get put on the spot. So right now, because my favorites always change and evolve, my favorites are where we are now at La Michoacana. I love Parish Taco on Tuesdays for 2-for-1 tacos and $2 tequila. I like Wine Country for their brunch on Sundays because they have the best biscuits in the land, and I will put some money on that they are the best biscuits in the land. And then I also love Key Mexico's Gringa Taco, even though it sounds like all the taco places because that's what we're talking about, but that's what I'm eating right now.
girl, I love tacos, so you don't have to tell me.
Yeah, that's what I'm eating.
So a lot of people, when they think of the cuisine of Louisiana, they think of Cajun food, and then they think of New Orleans Creole food.
Absolutely.
North Louisiana kind of gets lost.
Right.
Some people even consider it Southern Arkansas.
Right.
What would you tell people that are not familiar with the traditional cuisine of the Shreveport Bossier area what exactly it is?
So I would have to rely on my friend Chef Hardette Harris.
Yes.
And tune into her. She's with us up north, and she created the official meal for North Louisiana. And we're a soul food area, so we do the soul food things. We do like the fried catfish, or the greens, or the baked macaroni and cheese, the hot water cornbreads. Shreveport has its own style of stuffed shrimp, and things of that nature. So we take a little bit of Texas, but then we take some of the flavorings and seasonings of the South as well, and come up with our own little twist on things.
Okay, let's talk about the stuffed shrimp
Yes,
for a minute,
Lord.
because I was introduced to that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Kind of explain what makes it different.
Okay, so the stuffed shrimp, it's almost like shaped in a cone, if you will, or like I think the proper term is maybe cone or something like that, but it's a shrimp. It has like some crab and some type of bread stuffing and some veggies, and it's deep fried and served with a tartar sauce, but it's not like the traditional white tartar sauce that you see everywhere else. Ours comes in colors, like oranges and reds, because there's a little bit more seasonings and different things in it. And the Shreveport style stuffed shrimp are like no other. So if you see that style anywhere else, it's because someone is from Shreveport, someone has been to Shreveport, or someone's family came from Shreveport.
See, interestingly enough, Chris J said the closest that he saw to it was Dupuy's Oyster House in Abbeville. That their stuffed shrimp was very similar to it.
Yeah.
And when I interview him, we'll talk a little bit more about
some
that.
type of Shreveport connection.
But to see like if there is a Shreveport
There has to
connection
be.
there. So let's talk about fried catfish and that. So I grew up, whenever I would come to visit my family here, we would have Fish Fridays to the point that I hated fish. Like, I did not want fried fish anymore for the rest of my life.
That's unfortunate.
I didn't eat it forever. Like, it was just really gross to me.
Yeah.
And then 2 years ago, when I did a tour of the area, we were at Chef Hardette Harris's house, and she made fried catfish, and like, I almost started crying because it was so good. It was good, but it was also like so much of I was like, this is my grandmother's food, like, when I was eating it. And then I had the realization that part of the reason why I had stopped eating fried fish was because I don't like the way they cook fried fish in South Louisiana, and there is a difference to how they cook it in here. And I've kind of tried to describe it to people, and it's hard for me. It's just like the batter's different, the cut of the fish is different, and the seasonings are different. And so now if I come up here, like, I'll eat fried fish and like I'll try to like seek it out. And I've noticed like some of the soul food places in town have like that similar style of fish, but like Cajun style, like any like seafood restaurant in the Acadiana area, like their fried fish is usually really paper thin and it's catfish, and just I don't like it. The other thing is hot water cornbread, which I knew is familiar in this area, and I had some members of my family that made it, but my grandmother never made that growing up. And I talked to her about it, and I was like, I said, you know, hot water cornbread is synonymous with this area. I was like, but she never made it. She said, well, my sisters make it. I just don't. She's like, I could never get it to work right. So she always made her cornbread in like a hot skillet, and she would like cook it in that. So I was like, oh my God, this whole time I was like, my family didn't make this, but really they did, and it was for technicality reasons.
There's a science to hot water cornbread. Like, you have to get like the baking soda powder, whatever situations in the right proportions. And my mom has tried to teach me how to make it, and it always falls apart when I fry it because I don't have like the science part of it right. So I always, anytime I want hot water cornbread, I'll have her come over and she'll mix it up for me, and then I'll just add the hot water and fry it and go from there because I can't do it by myself.
I've never tried to make it, and I'm scared to make it. Like I feel like there's going to be an explosion. I'm going to have to go to the emergency room with like hot oil burns. So like Bob's going to be like in a panic. So it's like we're not, you know, I don't know if I would ever try to do it or not.
There's no greater meal than like some greens and hot water cornbread and a piece of fried catfish, like whole catfish, not like a fillet. Like I like fillets. Because sometimes I don't want to do the work with the bones and everything, but a whole fillet, a whole catfish, greens, hot water cornbread is some seriously good eats, and I'm here for all of it.
I learned about a new fish when I came up here, I think a year or two ago, and my dad had grew up eating it. I had never heard of it.
Is it going to be buffalo?
Yes, it was buffalo fish. And I know that some of the restaurants here have it, but he was telling me that like not a lot of places serve it because there's a lot of bones in it, and there's a lot of work to it. And we were at, I was actually at the German festival in Minden. Like one of the vendors there had it, and my dad was like so excited to get it, and some other people were there and they had no idea what it was, and he was like educating them about it. So are there a lot of places here that?
So with me, we grew up on buffalo fish, and I don't know if that's a poor thing or if that's like a black thing. I don't know. Like,
it may be a poor thing because my dad grew up poor as well. So
it was in abundance and stuff, and so that's what like we had. Like catfish was expensive at one point. And so we would have buffalo, and you could get like the buffalo ribs or the buffalo steak. And even now here in Shreveport, you still can get buffalo fish at $20.20, but there's a lot of bones. They serve it with some white bread and some hot sauce, and you can go to town on the buffalo.
Man, okay, I'm gonna have to try that. I would like the whole lot of bone thing kind of like weirded me out. But my dad was like so excited about it.
So good.
And talking about my aversion to fried fish, my dad was like, I had to eat fried fish. He was like, that's what we had to eat, and he's like, and I will still eat fried fish anytime. So I think that
I crave fried fish. Right now, my favorite fried fish, and it's a non-traditional take on it, but my favorite fried fish in the city right now is at Maryland's place, and Boz does a curry fried catfish, and it's not a wet fish. He just does curry seasoning and fries it. It's called the William Joyce from Bill Joyce, Moonbot Studios, and all of that. And it's delicious, and I crave that fish like at least twice a month.
Okay, so what are some more adventures that you're going on in the coming months that you can tell our followers about?
Let's see. So I'm going to be on my absolute worst behavior in New Orleans, November the 19th through the 21st. I'm going to celebrate my birthday, but of course I'm going to get some content and some info as well. I'll be in Addison, Texas next weekend doing some adventures with their Tourist and Convention Bureau, and then we'll see what the rest of. I'm going to Atlanta as well, and so my mission for Atlanta is to go to a strip club and have lemon pepper wet chicken wings.
What?
That's my food.
You know what? We had this is like so inappropriate, but we're going there. We have a gentleman's club in town that has like a steak night.
Do they serve chicken wings?
And I think they serve a variety of food, and I've always wanted to go and review gentleman club food.
Yeah.
Because like even
that's a big thing in Atlanta.
One of the closed gentlemen's clubs in town, which was called Desperados, used to have boiled crawfish night, and I feel like that's wrong on so many levels. But it was something that did exist in the Acadiana area. Okay, so you are very acquainted. Well, not maybe very acquainted, but you are familiar with the Acadiana area.
Yes.
I brought you cracklins from Dawn's Specialty Meat.
And I ate them all.
Yeah.
In one sitting.
She ate them at the bar. We were at Fatty. We went to a bar here called Fatty Arbuckle's, and she ate them at the bar. The bartender asked for one. He actually got the last one out of the bag. I brought some Acadiana love to the Shreveport area.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to me today. All right, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, more from my Shreveport tour. So coming back, it's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
She puts the wow, yum into words. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie herself on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku. This interview that's coming up is a little different. It is with Allie, who is with the Shreveport Bossier Tourism Commission, and we originally recorded this while on the trip. Unfortunately, due to lovely technology, it didn't come out that great, so we had her record a segment for us and send it to us. So this is the recording that she sent us of her interview about the Shreveport Bossier food scene.
Hi, I'm Allie Velasquez, and I'm the Marketing Associate at the Shreveport Bossier Convention Tourist Bureau. My favorite restaurants in Shreveport Bossier, there's so many amazing local restaurants, but if I had to choose, they're Key Mexico, Maryland's Place, Abby Singer's Bistro, and Lucky Palace, of course. Amazing Chinese food. What I love about Shreveport Bossier is its eclectiveness. We have great resort-style casinos, but, we're so much more than a casino town. Shreveport Bossier gets a bad rap about how there's nothing to do here, when in fact, we have more than 65 festivals and annual events a year. A good chunk of them are free, also, like the Highland Jazz and Blues Festival, our Mardi Gras parades, and the Sunflower Trail and Festival, which is so, so beautiful. We also have a fun art scene that includes everything from DIY venues like Mini Cine, art festivals like Prize Fest, which includes the Louisiana Film Prize, which a lot of people know about, and the Red River Revel. And we also have so many free art galleries and public art, including the Meadows Museum of Art, which is nationally accredited. We also have 3 craft breweries and a community that passionately supports local food. Also, the people are so welcoming. Southern hospitality is alive and well in Shreveport Bossier for sure. Speaking of those festivals, we have a lot coming up. Christmas in Roseland, our most famous Christmas festival, and let me start that part over. Speaking of those festivals, we have a lot coming up. Christmas in Roseland, our most famous Christmas event, is a huge winter wonderland with thousands of twinkling lights, lighted displays, lighted tunnels, and a Christmas music. Sorry, I'm starting that one over. Speaking of those festivals, we have a lot coming up. Christmas in Roseland, our most famous Christmas event, arguably, is a huge winter wonderland with thousands of twinkling lights, lighted displays, lighted tunnels, and Christmas music. And this all takes place at the Gardens of the American Rose Center, which is the national headquarters for the American Rose Society. The event starts back up on November 23rd, the day after Thanksgiving, and is open Friday through Sunday until December 17th. And then after that, it's open every single night until December 23rd. We also have Rockets Over the Red this Saturday after Thanksgiving on November 24th. So every year we have fireworks over the Red River, and you can watch from Riverview Park in downtown Shreveport or the Louisiana Boardwalk outlets in Bossier City. So you can get those Black Friday deals and then head outside to watch fireworks. It's awesome. And then after the holidays, we immediately launch into our Mardi Gras season. Mardi Gras falls a little later this year on March 5th, but we have parades beginning on January 19th with the crew of Sobek Parade, January 21st with the crew of Harambe Martin Luther King Jr. Parade, And then we'll have the Crew of Centaur Parade on February 23rd, which is one of the largest Mardi Gras parades in the South. The following weekend will be the Crew of Gemini Parade, which is on March 2nd. It's another huge parade. It's a lot of fun. And our last major parade of the season is the Crew of Highland Parade, which will be held on March 3rd this year. I love this parade because you can catch the wildest stuff. Like, you can catch the normal things like beads and moon pies and cups like any other parade. But they're also famous for throwing ramen noodles and hot dogs, which I love. So we have way more Mardi Gras events than I'm mentioning here. You can find a complete schedule of Mardi Gras parades on ShreveportMardiGras.com. Also, you can find a complete events calendar of things to do in Shreveport year-round at sbfunguide.com. Sorry, I'm going to do that last sentence again because I messed it up. Also, you can find a complete events calendar of things to do in Shreveport Bossier at sbfunguide.com.